right, what is going on, and how are y'all doing out there today on a rainy, nasty Friday, February 3rd? We are into the second month of 2022, and at the point now with our team and 29 other teams where we're kind of looking up at the guys who are about to engage in the championship next week in the Rams and Cincinnati. But I think every other fan base is looking at the same things that we are looking at. And how do we go forward into 2022 with a legitimate chance to compete in the NFL? How do we get into the playoffs? How do we improve our lot? How do we win more games? Just what do we need to do as a team? And that's really what I want to get into today. We can absolutely chop it up about whatever else y'all feel like doing. If we want to touch on the Brian Flores situation, Tom Brady officially coming out and retiring, and just a lot of the other things in and out going in the NFL. It's kind of hard. I know I see a lot of people. It's very interesting to me. And again, folks, don't underestimate. This is a lot of folks in this group. Just because you see the same people post over and over and over and over again doesn't mean that somebody doesn't pop in every now and then with an opinion. And I know we're getting at a point where, because the Falcons aren't playing, because 30 teams aren't playing, that the topics get either redundant or just way out of left field. And I want people to just understand that, we don't mind the new, we don't mind the subject of certain players coming up hundreds of times again. If you're a player on the Atlanta Falcons team, that's one of the things I always have been questioned about, to talk about our quarterback. Why do we have any? Well, he's still our quarterback, and I don't have to define what the quarterback position means in the NFL or to any team. So you're going to get a lot about that. You have a lot of people that have gone off the radar as far as talking about other teams and what other teams are doing in situations like that. Again, to a certain extent, it is the off season, so it's going to be stagnant if you talk about nothing. But I think trying our best to steer things towards Falcon-related stuff is hard, but trying our best to. Listen, when the Braves win a championship, of course you're going to have people post. When the Georgia Bulldogs win the national championship, of course people are going to post. If the Hawks make another run, that's going to be fair game, because the NFL has a long off season. We don't get legitimate football until September. I mean, not talking about scrimmages and things of that nature. So it's going to be hard to keep things fresh if we don't talk about other subjects. And I want everyone to feel free for the comments, but just keep in mind that if we see things that seem to be a little bit off kilter and just not exactly productive, and I think the average person knows what that means, so I don't have to pretend to explain that to them. But I think some people, we have a lot of thirsty folks out there and just want to post whatever they want to post. We're all for opinions, but just all of the edge stuff and things that have been talked about 3 million times over and over again. It's not saying it's not going to get posted, but don't be surprised if we see the post starting to go in a different direction. Don't be surprised if we turn off the comments or something like that, because some of our members just can't help themselves. You get into shouting matches, you get into your mama talk and all of that stuff. So it's kind of hard to not pretend like we are anxious going into the new season. But let's just try to keep the decorum just a little bit. We'll get to everybody and get everybody's point across. But just be mindful that the admins in the Atlanta Birdgang are definitely going to be watching out. Those of you watching on Uncle Steve's Lounge, I appreciate you. And actually, we're going to have something coming up next week on the Grammy Awards, music-wise. So be on the lookout for that when you start talking about that. Speaking of Uncle Steve's Lounge, what's going on? My brother says, yeah, Unc, that intro tune is hard. I appreciate that. Again, my brother Blake Pace is the author of that particular piece. I have a couple of pieces that he's supposed to be working with me going into 2022. Some other themes and some intros that we're trying to put down. So I appreciate the love on that. Lisa, how you doing today? Good to see you out there. Saw you at the Hawks game the other day. You say yesterday, was it? When the Hawks destroyed what everybody's thinking is the best team in the NBA, Phoenix Suns. Good win for them. Hopefully our Falcons are watching these winning well, I say winning, Hawks is still one game under, but these organizations that are up and coming and seeing the excitement around there, and hopefully they can steal some of that going forward. What's up, Sean? How you doing? Say, question, why do fans think because this quarterback class is weak that we shouldn't look for a quarterback in this class? If we're going to sit him for a year, then this year is it, since we keep him back and he can learn from under him. Now, that's my philosophy on that. I think what we have, Sean, is just, again, we have been programmed for the last decade plus to just accept what we have going on right now. I think there's a comfortable feeling with some folks that don't change anything. Let's just see if it gets better. Let's see if it gets better. And with sports, where the lifespan of the average athlete is probably, I say, 6 to 8 years, probably. That's the average lifespan of probably a football player. It's probably less than that. I think some folks believe because you stand pat at that position, then that means you're solid there. I'm one of the people, I'm kind of like you. If we go in the second round or third round and happen to get another player, that would be fine with me. And to your point, learn under one of the statistically best quarterbacks of this generation and be able to pick up some stuff. Yeah, I never understood why there is such pushback to bring another talent to push Matt. I don't understand why is that. I never understood the unwritten rule that you can't have a backup quarterback. You can't draft a backup quarterback unless not a backup quarterback. You can't draft a quarterback if you have an incumbent. I've seen Green Bay do it. I saw Baltimore do it. I saw Kansas City do it. And those teams are traditionally pretty good. And you didn't get a drop off. Now we'll find out about Green Bay once we figure out the Aaron Rodgers situation there. But I don't understand why there is such pushback on that thought. I think it's a perfect situation to me. Bring somebody in here, learn how to be a professional. One thing Matt is a professional. So learn how to do that. I'm all for that. That's right down my alley. Gregory, what's going on? Said this exposure of the NFL needs to be addressed and should be attended to. Some of these owners feel as though they are untouchable and above the rules of a decent human being. I don't like playing lawyer, Gregory, about a lot of this stuff. Brian Flores, he went out there and give him full credit of his conviction of what went on in his situation and what went down. I out of everything that he talked about, I don't think there is a person that can look in the mirror and say he's probably not lying or he's probably not telling the truth. But I do think there's a lot about this case that he's kind of assuming. Stay with me before you turn down the volume and hear me out. The Belichick thing, which everybody said, whoop, got him. There it is, right there. $300 million settlement. I mean, if you're a lawyer or you're a defense lawyer, you can probably eat that whole thing up. I mean, did Bill Belichick have some inside information that Brian Daboll was going to be the new head coach in New York? Maybe. Bill Belichick could have been having a conversation that he thought was private with the other guy. And who doesn't have private conversations? And Brian Flores has a point to say, oh, well, they're negotiating before the interview. So, yeah, that's a big deal. But that alone is going to be tough. That part. I think it's going to be tough to actually pinpoint at what point does that turn, which basically he's saying is racist. It's going to be very difficult. Trust me, I'm on the right side of this because it's been my contention all along that the Rooney Rule was created to make owners feel better. It was created to make owners feel like, see, so they can show the public and the African American community and the minority community, not just African Americans, to show the community, to show everyone out there, see, most of us rich, mostly white owners are giving everybody an opportunity. See, we're going to interview one person. You can interview one person. Then it almost gets to where you're kind of a token. What was the guy a couple of years ago? I think he finally got hired by Detroit. What's the guy? Steve Wilkes or whatever his name was. And it seemed like I saw his name on every single interview that they had out there because he was I'm just trying to find a better word, kind of the token candidate for minorities to say, oh, we got him in. Oh, we got him in. Oh, we got him in. Then they go choose the choice they want to. Now, let me be clear. If I am a billionaire and I have a strong feeling about who's going to run my team, I'm not going to just bow down and say, oh, okay, well, this guy's black, but that guy's more qualified. I'm going to have my team lose a little bit because this underqualified black person is in the running, and I know I don't need that drama in my organization. That's foolish. I don't think anybody will do that. That's kind of on the dumb part. But I do feel like one of these owners need to take a huge chance. If Jerry Jones went out and hired a black head coach, man, that would open up so much because he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that moves the meter. People would look at that. If Green Bay did it, folks would look at that. If New England after Bill Belichick does it, that would catch folks' attention. It has to be one of these more significant franchises. Because I quite honestly think if, and I know I've heard Doug Peterson got the job now, but if Byron Leftwich would have got the job in Jacksonville, okay, cool. But is that really a market that people are watching and people are paying attention to? I don't think so. The most damning thing in the report with Brian Flores, to me, is the owner offering money for the team to tank. And I still don't see, aside of just putting underqualified folks in the game as tanking, I don't see how you can do that. But nevertheless, he accuses him of that. Now, that's a pretty tall allegation. Now, text messages from Bill Belichick thinking he was talking to somebody else, that's one thing. You're basically accusing guys. I mean, for all practical purposes, you're basically no different than Pete Rose. You're throwing names purposely. And if he was a betting man, or anybody in his family was a betting man, hey, yeah, we throwing the games, y'all. So go put some money on the other team. Put big money on them because we're not gonna do a lot today. That's more damning than anything else. And I heard Hugh Jackson came out with his statement against Cleveland. It's one thing to be angry about the way the system is running. It's another thing to throw it out there and have legs. Now, if it's proven that this was true, then Stephen Ross shouldn't be an owner, or folks in the Browns organization should be retro punished. Quite honestly, if there's any inkling or any kind of paperwork conversation that said he was throwing or they were getting bonuses for losing. That's my thought. I just think it's just a tough situation, man. If you don't have facts, yeah, I know everybody saw these texts and they just went crazy, folks. Those texts can get those texts are sensational things for media. Quite honestly, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. It means it perception-wise to say, oh, y'all already had your mind made up. Oh, that's messed up. But when you walk into a courtroom and you have those allegations, it's probably kind of tough. And Brian Flores, let's face it, he's putting his whole career out there. Because I know a lot of people have been comparing this to Colin Kaepernick. It's a little bit the same, but not really. Colin Kaepernick, if people remember that situation, Colin Kaepernick was never cut from San Francisco. Colin Kaepernick declined his option. I think that's a misconception. Folks need to go back and look at that. They weren't firing him for kneeling. They weren't firing him for his words or anything. He said he didn't want to be there. And then it kind of hurt. And then it's kind of, when you call the folks who are paying you slave owners, that might have in big money, yeah, you can't do that. And I know everyone was ready to peace and Wakanda for Colin Kaepernick during that time. Yeah, I hear you. And for generally most of the things he was talking about, I understood. Yeah, I've always had a little bit of about that whole situation. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, the Brian Flores thing is going to get interesting. It'll be interesting if he has some information or some facts. Whew, that's going to be deep. Lisa said, yeah, we beat those Suns. Keep trending up. Hawks got to do good. And I know the only game they lost in the street was the one that Trey was out with the shoulder. So let's hope that tonight they can do some stuff. It said, if Malik Willis is there in the second round, I would take him. If he sits behind Matt and learns a few things, I think it would do us good. I agree 100%. To me, it's almost perfect. And I'm taking it a step further, but it's already past us. The draft is gone from last year. I don't think it would have hurt us last year. Who says an extra year? It's not like they were paying him. If you're investing in the future of your franchise, and you feel like this particular person can lead you into the future. Yeah, Matt is still on the team, but if that's your guy, then you're not going to hold up and say, well, 2 years from now, we'll be this, so let's just wait. You're going to wait till there are no other options. And this year now, you kind of backed yourself up. You can't draft a quarterback in the first round. You can, but I think that ship has sailed. I'm not sure if anybody right now, in my opinion now, and that could change, is worthy of first round. We probably need to work on that defense, that edge rusher, that somebody to disrupt the quarterback in that first round. Lisa says Belichick doesn't represent the Giants, so a defense attorney would destroy that argument. I mean, absolutely chew it up. Media-wise, it's saucy. It gets some attention. It makes people think. It makes people talk. But you're absolutely right, Lisa. Like, so? Now, if he wrote on the text, yeah, you know you're not going to get it because that black guy know he doesn't stand a chance, then you might have a little bit of teeth in there. But Bill Belichick thought he was talking to a friend. And there was nothing damning in there in that situation. If he's talking to a friend, a fellow colleague that he said, oh, hey, congratulations, looks like you got, I mean, I don't, yeah, that's going to be tough. Y'all thought Bill Belichick was ornery now. He ain't going to talk to nobody now after that. It says the NFL is a successful mess. The people who run the show have shown that they are shrewd businessmen, but they know in September all the fans are salivating. I mean, and listen, we do it every year. After the Colin Kaepernick thing, let's protest. Let's not go to the games. Let's turn in our tickets. Let's do this. Let's protest. And I hear people talk Brian Flores. Let's march on Washington. Let's do all this stuff. And then kick off Sunday. Y'all gonna be in the same seats you were before, along with me. They are billionaires. There's a reason aside of heredity. There's a reason why most of those people who make all that money keep making that money. They're shrewd. There are going to be a lot of situations that people don't agree with. When you have 77% of your workforce that's black, and yet you only have one person heading them from a head coach standpoint, there are a couple of black GMs. I mean, that's a problem. Does it need to be solved? Yes, it does. Is Brian Flores justified in doing what he did? I don't know, because I don't know what he went through. He's telling us his side of the story. Judging by for what I've seen from the other teams that have come out, everyone else has kind of come out saying, "Nah, man, you're wrong." Who am I to call them a liar? Am I just supposed to believe Brian Flores because he's black and I'm black? That doesn't make any sense. I'm just like with rumors in football, just like with innuendo, with anything, you have to kind of let things play out sometimes. It's easy for everybody to just jump to the conclusion. Well, they're wrong. I see a lot of folks, not just in this group, but just all around, just already throwing out accusations, saying what happened, saying what should have happened, what could have happened. Nobody knows. I don't. Majority of you don't, unless you're a cousin or a nephew of Brian Flores. You probably don't know. So I say let it play out. It's going to be an interesting case to see. What's going on, Dre? How you doing, brother? Say Brian Flores will never work in the NFL again. You can't work for a company you sue. Well, he sued. Did he sue the NFL or the three teams? Now, if he sued the NFL, I'm sorry, I thought it was the Giants. If he did sue the NFL, then yeah, that's going to be kind of tough. But then again, the NFL is a business. They tried to go after Roger Goodell, some of the owners during the lockout stuff from 10 years ago. I think people, when you're in the business of making money, people are forgiving sometimes. Now, the one thing that when you start talking about Brian Flores, you're basically calling the Giants, the Dolphins. You're basically saying those teams are racist. I know he didn't come out personally and say that, but with some of the allegations that he's making, that's kind of where he's going. So from that standpoint alone, if you're talking about me and you're dogging me out, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to go back there and get a job. Same thing we were talking about with Colin Kaepernick. If you are going to talk about me in public and sully my name, I mean, what am I supposed to all of a sudden give you love? Nah, don't worry about it. Let bygones be bygones. You can't do that. I mean, you can do it, but there'll be ramifications. And I'm not saying there's still a team that might hire him. Now, again, I'm ignorant to the fact that if it's the NFL or the three teams as a whole. But either way, whoever the team is that would hire him, you know, they have to. You have to have a little pause. Because you're like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Now, if this cat doesn't get his way with something, is he going to run and sue us? It's something to think about, something that you have to keep in mind. Dre says, Steve, I'm going to say we won the Jones deal based on his play in Tennessee because him and Brown should have balled out with both there in talent. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Brother Julio ends. I don't know. I mean, he had flashes at the end that he was okay, but yeah, I think we ended up with a good second round pick, so we should be good as far as that's concerned. What I wanted to specifically talk about, and again, we could still talk about other things if y'all want to, but what I titled in here was, if you had the power to make only one move for the Falcons this offseason, what would it be? Whether that be free agency, whether that be draft, whether that be organization-wise, what one move would you all make to improve this team's lot for 2022? In my opinion, I feel like the Falcons should draft a young edge rusher. That's my one, and I'm not even going to put a name on it because there are a lot of the top-rated cats coming out right now are coming out at that edge rushing position. You must affect the quarterback. It's amazing to me that we've had arguments round and round about quarterbacks, about running backs, about secondary, and we have yet to put significant pressure on the quarterback. The last time I saw the Falcons as a group put serious pressure on somebody, remember the game last year when the Raiders came into town and we destroyed them in 2020? That's the last time I collectively saw the Atlanta Falcons really put pressure on somebody. I need to affect the opponent's passing game. And you all see it even in the playoffs. Jimmy G was played around with the Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford, they got to him too a lot. Aside of having a game changer at quarterback, you have to have a game changer to disrupt the quarterback. That's why you see now the sack kings, they're getting paid just about as much as the quarterbacks. It's something to think about. We must get pressure on the quarterback. No doubt. No doubt. Dre says cut 45 based on playing last season. You know, Listen. Debo didn't have his greatest year, and Debo is one of those folks that is making a significant amount of money. Um, I'm not sure if I would give up on Deion Jones. When you say cut him, actually, that's going to take a little bit of a hit. Let me see what he had. Deion Jones, base salary this year is $9 million. Uh, signing bonus 2.2, roster bonus 5 million. Yeah, he does make a lot of money this year. I, I'm almost willing to give him a pass if you talk about if I was coming down to one move, but I understand, I respect what you're saying. You cut him based on move, one move. Okay, I hear you. I'd still try to work something out there. See, if you're talking about restructuring somebody, maybe that's somebody who might give you one of those Dante Fowler where they kind of restructured and brought his cap number down a little bit, and now we can cut Dante with really nothing residual. We can kind of get rid of him and lose that cap hit. J Rod, what's going on, brother? Says trade Calvin. That's got to be close to the top of the list. Again, another situation that out in public, we don't know what's going on. All we know is our wide receiver wasn't on the field. And if he doesn't want to be on the field with our team, then that's got to be one of the moves. I agree with you. That has to be one of the moves that you have to consider making. Calvin Ridley, at this point, barring something physical that is going on with him, it sounds like everything's mental. Calvin Ridley should still be able to fetch a first round pick, in my opinion. He came off a monster year the year before. The second team All Pro. Think was he third in yards in the NFC last year? So Calvin Ridley should fetch at least a first round, high second round. You can't trade him to Cincinnati or Green Bay or somebody like that and get a low second round. I think he should fetch more unless somebody gives you multiple picks for him. Then I could see somebody doing that. But yeah, trade Calvin is definitely not a horrible idea at all. I said, what do you think about an all defensive draft? We got some offense we need to worry about. You still have to tend to that offensive line. Call me whatever you want. Quarterback is a must for this team. Whether you putting them on the bench or whatever, you still have to look out for your future. You have to. And I'm not saying first round, but I think that's what you need to go for. We also need to look at some running backs. I mean, whether we end up keeping Allison or not, or whether we're done with the Mike Davis experience, there's no word out there that we are officially cutting him. He has a 2-year contract. He's on the team for another year. We don't have Cordero Patterson at this moment. He's a free agent. So you have to start looking ahead at the running back position as well. All defensive draft sounds good. I know probably a lot of folks who look at what Dallas did last year with that draft, and they look at that and say, hey, maybe if we do something like that and, change things up, that could possibly take us into another area. But to me, I think you kind of go heavy defense, but you still might need to find that other maybe right tackle, definitely a left guard, and a wide receiver. Now, wide receiver wise, I know there are quite a few wide receivers that are free agents. Now, some of them are a little high money. We're not talking about Devonta Adams or anybody like that, but there are some wide receivers here. I know Chris Godwin is getting ready to hit, even though I'm sure Tampa will probably double franchise him coming off the injury. I don't think they're going to let him go. But the offense shouldn't be ignored. We still need some help on the offense. I think you got to start looking at if Matt is going to be here another year with this offensive line together. Let's see how they can mesh and see if they can improve their lot. But you got to get some help. Dre said, or trade Calvin Ridley to a team with top picks or Jags or Eagles. See, I think that's the problem. The Jags are probably not going to trade a first round pick for Calvin Ridley. And the Eagles aren't going to. The Eagles might. Eagles have 3 picks this year. Eagles could. And think about it. The Eagles, not only if you trade that pick, but Calvin's a free agent. So if it doesn't work, I mean, it's not like they're on the hook for a lot of money. I mean, right now you have Calvin's 5th-year option money, if I'm not mistaken, is $11 million. Let me double check. Yeah, $11 million for next year, 11.6. Well, no, 11.116. So if they were to trade, that would be a straight, that salary would end up going to whoever we traded him to. There's no cap structure, no dead cap. That would just be a salary for salary. He's not a free. He's not a free agent. He is still on the team. That would be a nice look. Dre also says Juju Smith. Maybe we'll see what the Pittsburgh Steelers end up doing with their situation. They're kind of reloading up themselves. They're gonna have, and I know they're not gonna depend on Mason Rudolph to do what they need to do. Trey also says, send them to the Lions there for a 2nd round pick. They're willing to deal it. Nah, I don't think. I'm not sure if they got some nice guys. What's the young guy that started balling for Detroit this year? They're actually not in bad shape as far as receivers concerned. Detroit is. Detroit, I'm not saying they're going to turn it around, but I think at wide receiver, they're fine. I wouldn't worry about that. Rusty, what's going on, brother? Rusty said one move would be to get Matt's successor. We need so much help. We probably ain't competing next year anyway. Might as well get our quarterback of the future and start teaching him. First round or not, I don't care. I'm on the Malik Willis train. And I think most folks are. Rusty, for some reason, I don't know why that's an unpopular scenario. I agree with you 100% about that. And I know you just came in. So, but we were talking about that. I think that's one of the moves that you have to look at. You have to look for Matt's successor. I mean, in our wildest dreams, we wish Matt, we are hoping and praying Matt makes another run, but we also been having that same wish and prayer since 2017, and it hadn't quite worked out. Yes, we have deficiencies before people start pointing that out, but at the same time, I don't see the problem with looking out for the future. I think there are a lot of people that tend to just think that, oh, you're just being disloyal. It's not about that. It's about your future. To your point too, Rusty, this year is probably not going to be it's not going to be high expectations this year. However, with our division in flux, it's going to be a race to 9-8, I think, for this division. I think New Orleans is probably set up the best. New Orleans is set up the best in our division. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Tom Brady in a second. Give me one quick second. Says St. Brown, Detroit. Is St. Brown. That's one of the guys. And there's another guy on the squad too. I cannot think of his name. I'll have to look up Detroit's roster. But if you bring that up, I'll know what that is. Steve said we have the quarterback in the South right now. Yeah, we have the only incumbent quarterback. Well, New Orleans could decide to go with Taysom Hill. I think that would be a mistake. But they could decide to go with Taysom Hill. Now, think about it. When our buddy Captain America retired earlier this week, that set up a scenario that's going to be very interesting in the NFC South. Right now, New Orleans has a really good defense, but they're in salary cap hell themselves. So they're going to have to figure something out with some of their players. And I know Marcus Williams is a free agent. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw their cap did I see $60 or $70 million that they have to figure out before the beginning of the new business season. So let's not pencil them in automatically. Yes, they still have Alvin Kamara. They're probably going to have to figure out that Michael Thomas situation. I'm not saying it's similar to Calvin from the mental health standpoint, but it's similar to, it was obvious that Michael Thomas wasn't rushing to get back on the field last year. It was obvious. I don't know whether that was Drew Brees. I don't know whether something was said in the background, but he's not trying to run out and get on the field. When you look at Tampa Bay, not only did you lose Brady, but you also lost the appeal of Tom Brady. Do you think Ndamukong Suh comes to Tampa Bay if Brady isn't there? Do you think Antonio Brown would have come? Gronk would have come? What's my guy from Cincinnati? Gianardo, if he wouldn't have come. Just a lot of Richard Sherman. Just a lot of folks that came because Brady is who he is. So now that Brady's gone, and you're going to have a lot of folks probably leaving with him. So they're in a situation. And Carolina, quite honestly, I don't even know what to think of Carolina. I know Carolina was the perfect example of you can't always go home in the case of Cam Newton. I think for some reason they thought they would kind of catch fire by bringing him. And I know they sparked a little bit of excitement that very first game. But then, quite honestly, Cam Newton didn't show up when he came back to Carolina. If anything, it would have seemed like that would have lit a fire under him to be able to come back home. But he was not very good at all. He was worse than he was when he was with New England. So that's why it wasn't that hard of a decision to put Sam Darnold back in there. But they are looking for a quarterback too. I don't think anything I saw from Sam Darnold last year that would make me keep him on the roster, aside of the point that I think he's still on his rookie contract. So maybe they take a chance and just say, okay, we'll hold you around for one more year just to see what happens. Does Cam stay? I'm not even sure if Cam stays around. So the NFC South, when you look at Matt Ryan, who is the most tenured quarterback and now probably the most tenured quarterback in the league, right? Probably. Well, Aaron Rodgers was drafted right before him, but Matt Ryan has played every single game. So that's a big difference. Matt Ryan has played all but 3 games since he came on the scene as a rookie. So he had a little bit of head start as far as actual on-the-field experience. So when you put that in perspective, it is an advantage. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like it's not. If you can figure out some of the things on the offensive line, really try to improve what turned out to be a little bit of an opportunistic defense near the end of the season, and just concentrate on getting some pressure on the quarterback. If you can do that next year, I don't see why we wouldn't be odds-on favorite to try to win it. Matt Ryan is an X factor at this moment when it comes to that. Now, there are free agent quarterbacks out. Not free agent. Shouldn't say free agent. It's not true. The Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers situation are in flux. Don't know what Jameis is going to do. I think Jameis is in a really good position. Jameis Winston can pretty much call his own shot if he wanted to. The jobs in Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Carolina if he wanted to. Washington. Jameis, this is I'm sure the misfortune of him messing up his knee is bad, but going into this year, that was the greatest thing he did, signing those 1-year contracts with New Orleans. Now, he could have his pick. And I'm not sure people wouldn't go get him. He was actually good. He cut down on the interceptions. Still looked like he had a nice, strong arm. It'll be very interesting to see where Jameis would go. Wonder would somebody like Pittsburgh take a flyer on him. I don't know. Rusty says, I know none of these quarterbacks are being projected top 10, but it happens every year. As soon as the combine comes, stocks are going to rise. You're absolutely right. Last year, going from the end of 2020 going into 2021, the only quarterbacks people were talking about big time were Fields and Lawrence. That's it. And it was all pretty much already set. Trevor Lawrence probably be number one. And at that time, Justin Fields would probably be the second quarterback taken. Lance, there was buzz, but then it got a little better as the combine came. Matt Jones, the way Alabama shredded all those defenses going on to their national championship last year, he kind of raised his stock. And then Zach Wilson, who did a good job at BYU, didn't hurt himself going into the 2021 draft. I think there probably will be some folks. I think Malik is going to have a interesting situation. If he goes out there and tears it up in the combines, who knows? But I think even at number one, it would be interesting to see. I as somebody who was a strong supporter for a quarterback last year, I think this year it's going to be a little bit more difficult for a first round pick. Second round, I'm all down. But unless there are some moves that are going to be made here soon that we don't know about, which is it's kind of hard. February 3rd, you got a whole nother month before they decide who's going to be franchise tag, whose contract they're going to restructure, who's going to be post June 1st designation for cuts. There are a lot of things that are going to happen between now and March. I think it's 16th, the beginning of the business season. So we got a lot of before we just throw out exactly what's going to happen. But quarterback situations are going to be crazy. I say $78 million for the Stanks, and the Bucks have $78 million. Woo, that's a lot of. There's a lot of movement they have to do with that team, and the Bucks will have 19 free agents. But like I said, back to the Pumpkins. Yeah, I mean, but are you mad at what Tampa Bay did? Not really. It was a perfect storm. It was perfect. Jameis was at the end of his rookie contract, wasn't working out. Tom Brady not feeling good up there in New England, not getting the warm and fuzzies. That's another thing, too. We'll talk about that. It's another thing about that. But yeah, Tampa Bay goes to the back of the line in the NFC South, I think. Unless the quarterback they drafted is somebody that's going to be something. But the Tom Brady situation is also interesting. When you start talking about his farewell statement. As the mere fact that he didn't mention the Patriots at all. I'm trying to pull it up and I can see it. But yeah, that's touchy right there. And then 3 hours after releasing that statement, he posted on Twitter and Instagram an acknowledgement of the Patriots and their fans. And the reason why he probably did that, there was something going on in that situation. I think the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, when that was going on, and it kind of sounded like Bill Belichick was trying to somehow, hold on to Jimmy G in that situation because he knew, look, Tom Brady, the average person doesn't usually quarterback past 40. So he was looking out for his future. Another one of those situations when people try to defend what's going on here in Atlanta, coaches have to look forward, especially if you still want to be coaching. You can't get completely stuck. And knowing that Tom Brady I used to see a lot of people post for years. Tom Brady's giving money back. He's giving money back and letting them sign people or whatever. Well, Tom Brady was starting to get 40 years old and 41. Tom Brady was like, okay, time to pay the piper now. I was taking these $18 million contracts, $20 million, while all these other cats who hadn't even won a Super Bowl are getting 30, 40 million. And he was looking to get paid. And I think New England was like, chances are at 40 you won't win a Super Bowl. Wrong about that. But I don't blame them for the gamble. And now, 2021, they only had one down year. And now they're back. I think they're in a situation they're not used to. I'm not quite sure if they're on the Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati level right now. But, I mean, at least they're relevant again. But for Tom Brady, not to mention the Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, I mean, that was, I was looking at that thing and I was trying to read back. I said, did I skip the part about the Patriots? And I think he did that on purpose. I think that's probably why he didn't immediately come out when the news came out that he retired. I think Tom Brady did not want the Patriots to get any love. He wanted it to be about him, as it should. 7-time Super Bowl winner, multiple MVP. It should. Arguably the greatest player to play at his positions, especially. But he didn't want it to be a stroll down memory lane with New England. He wanted it to be about him. And I think it ticked him off, probably, that he was seeing all these montages and farewells that were giving New England all of this credit and everything like that. And at the end, New England was the one that said, okay, 6 championships, see ya. And he had something else to prove. And Tampa Bay not only paid him, but gave him an opportunity to prove that. And they made a good run. Just weren't ready for it this year, but they made a good run. I think Tom Brady, personally, it made me laugh to see Tom Brady in a situation where he truly, kind of had to go back and, oh yeah, Patriots fans, yeah, y'all cool. He did eventually thank Belichick and Kraft. And I was watching this Twitter thing, Ted Johnson, for some of you that remember, long time he was a linebacker for New England. He came back and said Robert Kraft went ballistic when he first heard the statement, not thank him. You think Tom Brady, somebody who's been 22 years in the league, somebody who's been versed in front of the media, somebody who probably has somebody writing half of this stuff that he's doing, do you think for 1 minute he actually forgot to thank the Patriots? No, that was done by design. He absolutely wanted the Patriots to feel his anger. And he did a great job. That was powerful. But somebody probably came back and said, yeah, but the fans, bro, don't lose the fans. So he came back and did that. But his first official statement said, to heck with y'all. Dre says Kyle needs to work harder in training camp. Ron Thomas, how you doing, brother? Rusty says, hopefully Matt Ryan plays like he's worth $48 million this year. Yeah, and look, again, sins of the father, man. We're paying for a situation that our brother Thomas Dimitroff left us in, and Terry and Arthur are left to deal with this. I was listening to somebody talk about why wouldn't you trade Matt Ryan? And I don't think it's out of the realm that they would try to trade him. But I think for this particular year, which I think this is going to be the last year he's here. I think they'll be able to take that hit next year. But I think for this particular season, I think it was important for Matt to stay. You want to get these young boys back up to snuff, and you want to try to get this team going in the right direction. I think you let Matt stay this year. Kind of similar to the situation in San Francisco. They drafted Trey Lance number 3. If they drafted him number 3 and he got like spot work, I think the 2 games that Garoppolo was injured in, it might have been 3. And Lance looked green. He looked like, okay, not quite ready. No different than Lawrence did either. Matt Jones was in a great situation. Matt Jones, he had Bill Belichick there. Bill Belichick is going to protect him. Bill Belichick said, run left, run right, run left, run right, and they'll win a game by me throwing the ball 3 times. So he had a better situation. He was better prepared to jump into that situation. Zach Wilson, we still have to see what's going on with him. And Justin Fields, obviously, Chicago had so much stuff going on internally. It's kind of hard to give him a fair grade going into the year, but due to injuries and just Chicago's organization just not knowing what to do. But yeah, that's going to be a tough one right there. He said, take this off. Said, just think about it. Is Matt going to get over $80 million the next 2 years? Actually, again, don't be fooled, y'all. The salary cap, he's already been paid. The bonus money that you're seeing coming down the line is money that's been spread out. He's not getting paid $48 million this year. He's already got that money. But just hypothetically, let's go here. 2018, $40 million bonus. Okay. Then they structured it originally where he got $8 million this year, $8 million in 2021, $8 million in 2022. Well, you can redo that bonus money to where now you can take the $24 million, pay him now, and then make it $12 million next year, $12 million the next year. Like that. He's not making $48 million this year, but he already has the money. He's going to get his money one way or the other. This is bonus money that they're doing with it. What was that? Rusty says, Jimmy G is an MR2 comparison. Both decent quarterbacks who make some throws that make you say, bruh. Each quarterback has a Super Bowl loss and an NFC championship win. Seems fair to me. And that's really kind of good when you look at it. That's a very good comparison. And that's why I think San Francisco is going to be set up now for the future. You still got Kittle. You still have Debo. Got Ayuk. You have a nice defense. Probably about one of the top 3 feared rushers, pass rushers in the game. Got to get some work on that secondary. But San Francisco's ready. And if Trey goes through a productive camp this year, look out. Frisco will be ready for real this time. Matter of fact, I'm almost going out on a limb to say Frisco should be able to win the NFC West this year. They came close to doing well. Look, they barely got in. And we're pretty close to going to the Super Bowl. Really close. The narrative on Kyle, man, is just Kyle Shanahan. I know a lot of people just have a lot of hate for him, which I don't. Listen, I understand it. I know a lot of people blame Kyle Shanahan for the not being able to get over the hump in the Super Bowl. He's done it twice with San Francisco in the postseason. He failed the game last week. He failed 2 years ago in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. It's a tough road, but I tell you what, for people who have criticism about that, I would rather be the team that's in the playoffs, in the hunt, going for it, rather than sitting in the group arguing about who should get drafted first, or arguing about who's right. Should Matt Ryan stay, or is Matt Ryan a Hall of Famer, or while we're sitting at home watching? It's about being in the mix. You have to be in the mix. Too many times that I understand the perspective of people that well, you win it all. You either win it all or you're a loser like the rest of them. I get it. But would you actually like us to be in the San Francisco situation, or do you want to be in the situation we're in now? That's why, to me, I think he gets a really bad rep. He had 1 year that sucked. Well, actually, two. The first year he was in Frisco, and then last year where injuries just ate them alive. But other than that, Kyle Shanahan has kind of been pretty good. And when you talk about offenses, I don't think there's anybody better right now. Now, as far as holding leads, it might need to finally figure that one out. But I still think I would take him or take his situation more than we have right here. Who is this right here? Anthony, what's going on? Said, bottom line, Kyle is giving his team a chance. What do you want to be? The team on the sofa talking about, Kyle Shanahan losing again in the championship game. Cal Shanahan losing again in the Super Bowl. the perspective is flawed. I mean, you think about, we laugh at Green Bay. That's another one there, the Aaron Rodgers thing. A lot of people that just dog out Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers does nothing but, put up some great regular season numbers, usually gets to the NFC Championship game, been there 6 times. Yes, he's lost 5. But shoot, at least he's there. At least there's hope with fans. The thought that we could go to the Super Bowl. The thought that we're in the mix is one of the best teams going. And I know the disappointment of not getting there. I'm not naive. I'm not throwing that off to the side. But I am saying, hey, at least he's there. Do you want to be the perennial 4-12 to 8-8? Well, I know 17 games now. 14-13 to 9-18. Do you want to be that team in that purgatory where you're really, your idea of improvement is going up to 7-10? Or do you want to be the team that's in the mix for the number 1 seed, or at least getting in the wild card? I think I'd rather be that team that's in the mix. And I think that's one of the things I think that just is interesting to me. I'm not telling people their opinion. You can think whatever you want of Kyle Shanahan. All I know is Kyle Shanahan is in the playoffs all the time. that's just it. Now, I don't mind people, the Tom Brady thing, when people root against Tom Brady. I get that. We lost to Tom Brady in the biggest stage the Falcons have ever been on. Yeah, with all respect to the 98 team. But this was our absolute chance to win the Super Bowl. I understand the angst against Tampa. I understand the angst against New Orleans. That's our rival. I don't mind that. I get that. But the personal thing with Kyle Shanahan, I'm like, Kyle Shanahan lost the Super Bowl. He probably made some bad plays. He did. But he had us there. And it is so obvious how different this team has been since he's left that I think some people don't even look at it like that. We were never the same team once he left. Now, the year we lost all the defensive guys, that was the year Sarkisian finally came through. That was actually a nice offense we had in 2018. We weren't running the ball that great, but we were throwing it all over the place. That was a really good offense that year. But we never evolved into that team that Kyle had. Remember the year 2015? He was benching Roddy White, and everybody wanted to rise up against Kyle Shanahan and get, how dare you mess with Roddy White? And then a person say Roddy White's name in 2016. Not a soul. They had a whole thing on the radio where they were talking about free Roddy White. Nobody was saying none of that in 2016. Because Kyle Shanahan got his players he wanted. He got Sanu in there. He got Gabriel in there. And turned his team into one eyelash of a championship. San Francisco, the same. Made a shrewd move to get Jimmy G in there. Took his lumps that first year. But then the next year with a killer tight end, some nice players on the offense, Tevin, three-headed monster, Tevin Coleman, Mostert, and at that time, Matt Breida, and took that team on the edge of winning the championship. I would much rather be on that team or in that situation than sitting back saying, nah, y'all didn't get in. Y'all didn't make it. Crazy to me. Anthony says, it amazes me at how so many pray for him to have bad luck. That has to be miserable. And again, I know I don't particularly just point my finger at him for that Super Bowl losses. We were going through situations in that Super Bowl. You can name 10 different scenarios. Well, 10 different plays that if they went one way, offense and defense, that if that one play goes your way, we would have had the Lombardi. So, yes, did Kyle make some questionable calls? Absolutely. But I'm not ready to just, throw him down. So, we'll see. Brother Shot Boogie, how you doing, my friend? Say, with a nice draft and a few moves, we will be okay. That's the thing. I think I really want, what I'm more excited about even before we get to the draft, I want to see the direction. You're going to find out in the next month, folks. You're going to find out before March 16th, which is the day that the year starts over. You're going to find out how Terry and Arthur are going to go with this team. You're going to find out if Matt is going to be long term. You're going to find out is there going to be a defensive revamping, whether that be getting rid of Debo, not re-signing Fourier, keeping both of them. Is there a possibility that Grady could be gone? Is there a possibility? You're going to find out all of that going into the middle of March, because that's when your money decisions have to be made. And then when free agency comes, remember last year for free agency? Free agency started, and you see all these teams making these moves and stuff like that. And everybody was like looking on page 1 for the Falcons, page 2 for the Falcons, page 3. And then later on, it was like Mike Davis, 2 years, $6 million. Like, what is that? But I think this year, we're going to try to do some things this year. And then just to see what they're going to do with the whole Calvin Ridley situation. Is that going to be something realistic when you start talking about trade? I don't know. Is Calvin Ridley saying, I'm over that, let's play? I don't know. And we all don't know. But we'll know by March. Because I know getting rid of Calvin's contract would help out a lot. And that's true. Anthony says 2016 was the most exciting Falcons football team ever for me, including playoffs and the Super Bowl. I miss it big time, bro. It's hard. When you think about things that the team is doing right now, and you go back to that time, the excitement, that 2 weeks, and it's still there. It's only a couple of years ago, so it's still there. So I don't blame anybody for still having those feel goods. The journey, those 2 wins against Seattle and Green Bay that you hear a lot of us talk about ad nauseum. That feeling, and the reason why those wins are more relevant because those were the biggest wins we had. That Minnesota win against in 1998 was really 1999 against Minnesota, huge, huge, because we were huge underdogs. But the mere fact that we impressed our will upon Seattle and Green Bay in 2016, and really against New England for 3 quarters, there was not a better team in football for 11 of those 12 quarters. And actually, I'll even go back and say 10 of those 12 quarters. The first quarter against Seattle, when we played them here at the Georgia Dome, that first quarter, Seattle looked kind of strong. But from that second quarter to Seattle to the third quarter of the Super Bowl against New England, there wasn't a team that was going to touch us. And it's hard. It's hard to go back and listen. It's hard to go back and not have feelings about that. That's strong. Rusty says, Steve, I am doing something wrong. Am I doing something wrong? I used to get notifications when you go live, but I don't anymore. I thought I hit the button that says get notifications when this person goes live. Facebook's so broken. Yeah, it's definitely something when you get there. If I get a chance, Rusty, I might screenshot it to you. Since to be looking out for a message just in case. But it should come on. I don't know why it's not. But sorry about that. Let's see. People forget it took an immaculate reception by Julian Edelman to beat us, but everyone's screaming Brady and Shanahan. If Edelman doesn't make that catch, 2-inch catch. Yeah, listen, I said it. There were 10 plays. Dude, we can run down the list. Edelman, Robert Alford interference play, I think in the third quarter. James White getting a 4th down play. I think that was a little pass he made. Devonta block. Holding call from Jake Matthews. Shoot. At the end of, really in overtime, Vic Beasley had an opportunity to get an interception in the end zone. Y'all forgot about that? I mean, there are so many plays you can go back to in there that you just the Kyle Shanahan blame game is just amazing to me. And quite honestly, the Dan Quinn blame game. Nobody wants to give Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was the head coach of that team. And probably that year, the head cheerleader. And people also forget that Dan Quinn took over the defense. Him and Mark Wan took over the defense from Richard Smith during the last part of that season after the Kansas City game. People forget that part. Dan Quinn should get his credit too. Dan Quinn was the head coach of that team. And for anybody to think that doesn't make a difference, it does make a difference. He might not be calling plays, but he's instrumental in that team's ebb and flow. In that particular year, for everybody that don't say brotherhood again, don't say rise up, don't say this. Yeah, that was stuff that was motivational down the stretch, folks. Y'all can sit here and pretend like it was, and like it wasn't. Wasn't a folk in here talking that wasn't talking about the brotherhood. Everybody was. Now, all of a sudden, 5 years later, everybody get amnesia. Oh, I wasn't into that brotherhood stuff. I wasn't into to embrace the suck. I wasn't into all that. He's all a cheerleader. Yeah, he was, but whatever he did, he cheerleaded them to the Super Bowl that year. And looked like he's rebuilding his reputation there. Shy Boogie I have not watched that game again. Shy Boogie, I'm going to tell you something. I keep telling I should get paid by NFL Game Pass. That I have Game Pass. I have watched the Super Bowl up to Robert Alford's pick six. I have never. Matter of fact, there have been times that I walked in on like highlights where they're showing like they USA Today named that the #1 Super Bowl of all time when Tom Brady beat the Falcons. So infamous for the wrong reason. But I have yet to go back and look physically at any play past the Robert Alford pick six. I will look at it on my iPad or on the computer. And when it gets to Robert Alford and that pick six and that scene of going up there and look at Arthur Blank going crazy, raising his hands, the people up there in the box losing their mind, I have yet to go back, man. I can't. That's how deep it is. I can't do it. I cannot. And everybody that says, "Oh yeah," but that crap hurt, man. That hurt, and it was between a hurt and a angry. Well, I'm surprised I wasn't emotional. Well, I take that back. I was emotional, but I was silent emotional. I sat there, and I remember in the house we had a party, obviously, over there, and when we had the party, we had this big. We went to the liquor store down on 138 Henry County, and I bought this big. I don't drink like that at all. That back in my Army days, yes, but I just don't. Just personal choice. But I bought this big bottle of champagne and bought these little plastic flutes. And in the third quarter, when we scored the 28 points, in the bucket, I put ice and I put the champagne on ice and I left it there in the driveway. Beginning of 2017. Beginning of 2007, left it in there because I said, we about to pop this thing. Obviously, we know what happened. I ended up moving from that house. And to this day, that champagne is now upstairs in the room, yet to be touched. That was some strong stuff, man. Y'all can say what you want to say. I don't know what kind of fan everybody else is. That crap hurt. That hurt bad. So Shabuki, I feel you 5,000%. That to this day, and that's why when we start talking about redundant topics, when we start talking about the Matt Ryan, the Julio Jones, and all this and all that, I get it. And those things you could throw away. That Super Bowl, man, that's tough. That's tough for somebody who has rooted for their team since I can remember being 5, 6. For all of the losses in the 70s, for the Bubba Beans, for the William Andrews, for the Gerald Riggs, for the Steve Bartkowskis, for the Chris Millers, for the Dave Archers, for the Deion Sanders, for the Eric Metcalfs, for the Bobby Heberts, for the Billy Joe Tollivers, for all of that stuff, all of those folks, that hurt. As a grown man, that hurt, man. That was tough. Hey man, what's going on, Corliss? How you doing? Say if I need to get regular, I'll just watch this. See, it's the X Wax, man. I stare. Matter of fact, I think my wife was she probably called 5150, or she probably thought I was gonna have to be taken out. I stared at the TV and didn't say a word for like 5 minutes after James White went in for the touchdown, or Kevin White, whoever it was. I don't even care who his name is. But when he went into the end zone and I saw them celebrate. And I mean, I just couldn't say a word, man. That crap hurt. And you talk about somebody who was pumped up. Jeez. Rusty said, I called out of work Monday and had to reconsider life. And here's the thing. I'm a big trash talker. Don't let anybody fool you. I will talk with the best of them. All my New Orleans friends, I was getting ready to say, oh, we about to even it up now. Y'all been bragging about that one championship from 8 years ago. We getting ready to match it up. We getting ready to roll it, boy. I was texting folks. I was getting it ready. I showed pictures of my champagne, had everything on there. And then, woo! And then the jokes haven't stopped. The jokes haven't stopped. The ridicule hasn't stopped. I mean, it is, woo! It's tough, man. What's up, RC? How you doing today, brother? Just talking a little bit past history, talking about the future of Atlanta, but just going back and reminiscing a little bit about some of the hardship of that Super Bowl, just your personal feelings at that time, and see what's going on. Brick says for the future, say bring in A-Rod with Adams with Pitts for one season. And I'm gonna tell you, Brick, listen. If we were in a situation and after March 16th where we shred the roster and we can make up all of that room, I'm down. I think the problem is Aaron Rodgers is not going to come anywhere where he's not going to get paid right now in his career. You know, you heard the rumor everybody's talking about, oh, he bought some land in Tennessee. Maybe he's going to maybe he's going to the Tennessee Titans. I couldn't answer that, but yeah, I can dream, but I know we can't afford both of those guys. If they were coming, they would have to be coming for 1 year prove-it contracts, and neither one of them need to prove anything. So I respectfully have to say, I don't know about that. Say, man, the whole world wanted us to beat them that year. We let them down. The world, yeah, I think that was it too. The Tom Brady was suspended earlier that year, and you know there were a lot of people that thought that Tom Brady should have got the MVP. And it was arguably that he should have got it. He threw 2 interceptions that year. And after coming off of the Deflategate stuff, I think that was Deflategate, where he got suspended the first 2 games. And yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. Brick says, yeah, I can't rewatch no highlights, no clips, no nothing from that game. Brick, I'm going to tell you how bad it is. You know, they had the new thing on ESPN, the man in the mirror or man in the drawer or whatever Tom Brady's doing on ESPN. Dude, I can't watch it. And then they were showing highlights and commercials advertising it. I can't watch it. I cannot watch. When I see this commercial, I turn the channel. That's how triggered I am as a Falcon fan. I'm triggered. I don't want to see it. The Denver game we lost in 1998, I can live with that. Denver was a much better team. We were the best team down the street. From that Kansas City pick 2 to the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, there wasn't a better team in the NFL. None. And in a matter of 15 minutes, I don't even want to talk about it. Ron says, what's up, Ron? Ron said, yeah, that 28-3 lead will never be forgotten, especially the way they lost the game. You scored 28 points in the first half, none in the second half. Are you kidding me? That's a real sad state of affairs right here. Actually, we scored 21. I think the 28 came in the 3rd quarter. So, yeah, it's tough, Ron. It's tough. I mean, it's legitimately tough. It's hard to go back and relive it, man. It's hard. RC says, I heard the NFL put out a statement about changing the Super Bowl sites to prevent home teams from playing in their own stadium. From now on, the Super Bowl will be played in what do you say, in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Yeah, Miami's a little. Hey, you never know though. Shoot, Aaron Rodgers might head down south. It, look, this year is going to be very interesting. This is going to be a very interesting year. You got A-Rod disgruntled. You got Russell Wilson disgruntled. You have Jameis Winston as a free agent. You have a lot of moving parts right now. So it is going to be interesting to see how all this ends up. Ron says the definitely of a big real meltdown, man. And there's another word other than the term the meltdown. It's just due to psychological. But that's why I'm gonna tell you how triggered. I'm gonna tell you how triggered I am, Ron. I'm gonna tell you how triggered. If y'all were watching the Rams game against Brady the other day, thoughts, feelings start coming up. Of course, you had Al Michaels and Chris Collins were basically hoping for another situation like that. But that feeling, man, I turned into a Rams fan for a minute there. Not because I like the Rams anymore, like they're a great team, but when I saw them marching down, when I saw him throw that touchdown to Evans, when I saw them tie that game, I said to myself, oh, this is so familiar. I've been here before. That same sinking feeling. I'm not even a Rams fan, but I was rooting for them because I said, don't let this dude do this again. Please don't let this dude do this again. And he absolutely almost did. So, Devontae, you watching this on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you, my brother. Says, sad to say I was locked up when we went to the Super Bowl. I was the only Falcon fan in there. By halftime, everyone gave me all their bets early. Oh, my God. Then at the end, I had to pass it back out. Oh, man, brother. Oh, my goodness. I can only imagine that. Oh, you probably was sitting pretty. Oh. Man, that's even worse. Because I don't even want, to Devontae's standpoint, right? I don't even want to talk about money because, yeah, it was a sad day financially for your uncle, y'all. It was sad. Uncle said, no, an MVP would have validated Brady. Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why Matt Ryan went on to win that overwhelmingly. He did win it overwhelmingly. I think they weren't going to glorify him. You're absolutely right. RC says, I haven't seen that Falcon Super Bowl since watching it live. I think I was sick for 2 weeks back then. And I did not want to go back to work because, oh my goodness. Yeah, I think if anyone's seen pictures of my car, I have a Falcon car, I got Falcon paraphernalia, I had Falcon flags. At the house, I have a Falcon man cave. I have Falcon. I am that guy. I'm that guy that people find when the Falcons lose. When the Falcons lose, people come out of the woodwork and find me. That's how much I am that guy. So I get it. Brick said facts. None better than we were hitting on all cylinders. I mean, that if you think about that run we made, destroyed the Rams, destroyed Rams and got their coach fired, destroyed San Francisco, got their coach fired, went into Carolina, destroyed them, destroyed New Orleans, even though Breeze started being funky at the end. That was the Mike Vick last circle around game. Beat them. Seattle comes to town. We got revenge for that game we played them early in the year, the no interference call on Julio, and beat them down. Aaron Rodgers has never been more embarrassed than he was that day. We went up 31-0 on them. And then for the first 3 quarters of that game, man, it was pure magic, man. If you're a Falcon fan, you probably never had that much of a high as a Falcon fan at the end of the third quarter. You were high as a kite, saying these cats are about to lock this up. And then to know that you have to shift emotions back down because you lost the game. That is crazy. CJ said, I watched the Brady documentary and turned it off during the during the Super Bowl episode. Yeah, and you know what? Because I know that was going to be a central thing, I know I couldn't watch it, man. I couldn't watch it, CJ. I couldn't. I wasn't going to put myself through that again, man, because, dude, I don't like losing, and I don't like my teams losing. Whether it's Hawks, Braves, Georgia, any of the home teams. I just don't like them losing. And to know we had that, just thinking about it pisses me off. But, oh, man. The next we go to the can, we please play a Rex Grossman. We went to the second. We went to 2 and played 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Yeah, absolutely. RC says, not sure if you already spoke about it, but have you seen the mock drafts for the Falcons? Why do they have us getting a quarterback or wide receiver? Yeah, the wide receiver thing, RC, is probably more puzzling to me than even the quarterback. But I'm with you. I don't think we missed the boat on quarterback last year. You should have been drafting a quarterback last year, quite simply because you had a plethora of talent. With the number 4 draft, there were 5 quarterbacks out there that were rated pretty high. You had an opportunity, you blew that. Now this year, you can't go back and get it, man. It's too late. You can't go back and get it. Corley said, and I thought I was scarred from the Dallas game in Atlanta with Danny White. Now, I will go back and say, as much as I talk about that Super Bowl, I cried that game. Now, keep in mind, I was about 10. But I cried like a baby that game. That Dallas game hurt. That hurt. Super hurt. And I thought the 3-1 meltdown versus New York Yankees was painful. That one hurt too. 3-1? Or was that 2-0? Nah, the Yankees, I think we were up 2-0 and then they won 4 straight. I don't think we ever got a third game. We didn't go to a 7th game and now. Now the Yankees was 2-0. The Andrew Jones 2 home run game. It was in Yankee Stadium. We came back here. It's that scrub. Jim Leyritz hit the home run, and they won all 4 straight in that one. That hurt, but it was 4-2, that particular one. The only game 7 we've done in the World Series was the very first one, the Minnesota one. Rusty says, it makes me laugh when people say you're a bandwagon fan. Yeah. Look, I laugh at people when they tell me that too. That's when they say that stuff, that is crazy. Devontae says, I don't know what's going to make us forget about that Super Bowl besides winning one unless we start becoming a competitive team every year. Now, Devontae, you said it the first time. Winning and even winning it may not erase, but it dang sure will take a little stain off of it. When the New York Mets lost that game to, not New York Mets, when the Boston Red Sox lost that game to the New York Mets, since we're talking baseball, when they lost that one to the New York Mets that year, and everybody was talking about the curse of the Bambino and blah, 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 they weren't able to erase that until they finally won that World Series and then won, 3 more? Nobody talks about that play as much anymore. At first, that was all you talked about with Boston, the Bill Buckner play when he missed the ball underneath the glove. But as soon as they won, nobody talked about it. So you're absolutely right. You got to get that out of your system. Corley said yes to 2-0. No, there's no bad about it, man. No, I'm not correcting you to make myself look smarter. I'm just saying I just remember that. So no, there's No big deal at all. Little fellas, got to get to work and head out of here. I appreciate everybody joining me. Might try to sneak in here tomorrow since we got a definitely off weekend. It'll be either tomorrow or Sunday. Talk a little bit more about this upcoming season. Maybe go back and relive some good memories with the Falcons and the franchise. Until then, y'all have a great day. This sloppy, rainy, cold day, and enjoy yourselves out there this weekend. We'll catch you later.